My beloved friends, I welcome you today to a revelation that will shatter the very foundations of what you believe about manifestation. What if I told you that everything, yes, everything you've been taught about bringing your desires into this world has been built upon a colossal misunderstanding? Look around you. The vision boards collecting dust in your closet. The affirmations you've repeated until your voice grew hoarse. The endless rituals of gratitude journals and positive thinking that have yielded disappointing results. Why do these methods fail so many earnest seekers? Because they fundamentally misinterpret the immutable law that governs this magnificent universe of ours. I have devoted 17 years to studying every lecture, every book, every recorded word of Neville Goddard, perhaps the most profound yet misunderstood spiritual teacher of the 20th century. And what I discovered beneath the surface of his teachings sent shivers down my spine. The masses have been following a hollow imitation of his wisdom, a pale shadow that lacks the transformative power of his actual message. Today, I stand before you to unveil what Neville truly taught, not what the modern manifestation industry wants you to believe he taught. This is not merely another spiritual video. This is the skeleton key that will unlock the prison door of limitation you've been trapped behind. Let me introduce you to the man himself. Neville Goddard was born in 1905 in Barbados and eventually made his way to America, where he would deliver hundreds of lectures that would forever change our understanding of consciousness and reality. Unlike today's self-proclaimed gurus, Neville spoke not from theoretical knowledge, but from direct experience of the law he taught. His life was a living testament to the principles we'll explore today. Most people who casually reference Neville have never truly understood the radical nature of his message. They've diluted his revolutionary philosophy into simplistic techniques that barely scratch the surface of his profound wisdom. After immersing myself in his complete works, I discovered the crucial elements that virtually everyone misses, the very elements that make the difference between frustrating failure and consistent manifestation. In this revelatory exploration, I will dismantle 3 devastating misconceptions that have kept you from experiencing the magnificent life that is your divine birthright. These aren't minor misunderstandings, they are fundamental errors that completely invert Neville's actual teachings and render your manifestation efforts not just ineffective, but counterproductive. The first shocking truth about manifestation will challenge everything you've been led to believe about your relationship with the world around you. The second will liberate you from the exhausting hamster wheel of techniques that promise much but deliver little. And the third, perhaps the most transformative of all, will show you why the currently popular approach to manifestation is actually keeping your desires at arm's length. Now I must warn you, what I'm about to share may initially seem to contradict much of what you've learned about manifestation. Your mind may resist these truths. That resistance is natural. It is your old consciousness fighting for survival. But I implore you to listen with an open heart and a willing imagination, for these principles have transformed countless lives, including my own. Consider this. What if manifestation isn't something you do, but something you already are? What if the very concept of attracting something into your life is fundamentally flawed? What if your consciousness is not contained within you, but rather contains all that you perceive? Neville himself said, "The world is yourself pushed out." Not as a poetic metaphor, my dear friends, but as a literal description of the nature of reality. This statement alone, when fully comprehended, renders most manifestation teachings not just incomplete, but fundamentally misguided. You see, the first shocking truth about manifestation is that there is nothing outside of you to attract, nothing whatsoever. The universe isn't a cosmic catalogue from which you order experiences through your vibration or thoughts. This physical world that seems so solid, so external to you, is nothing more than the outpicturing of states of consciousness that you have occupied. The implications of this truth are staggering. It means you are not working against an external reality that must be convinced or cajoled into giving you what you want. There is no separation between you and your desire. The only separation is in consciousness, and that is a gap that can be closed instantaneously. This is why most manifestation methods produce such inconsistent results. They operate from the flawed premise that you are here and your desire is there, and you must somehow build a bridge between the two. Neville's actual teaching demolishes this misconception entirely. Man's consciousness, Neville taught, is the one and only reality. Everything you experience, every person, Every circumstance, every material condition is but a shadow cast by the light of your consciousness. Change the consciousness, and the shadow must change accordingly. It has no choice, for it has no independent existence. When you truly grasp this principle, you'll understand why affirmations often fail, why visualization techniques can lead to frustration, and why the law of attraction, as it's commonly taught, is but a fragment of a much greater truth. You'll see why some people seem to manifest effortlessly while others struggle for years with the same techniques. The first shocking truth about manifestation is that there is nothing to manifest. Let that sink in, beloved. Nothing to manifest. For manifestation implies bringing something from outside yourself into your experience, and Neville Goddard's revolutionary teaching reveals that there is nothing outside of your consciousness. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out, Neville declared in his lecture, The Pruning Shears of Revision. This statement isn't metaphorical, it's the literal structure of reality. Your consciousness is not contained within your body. Your body and all that you perceive are contained within your consciousness. Look at this quote from Neville himself. The world is a mirror, forever reflecting what you are doing within yourself. The implications are enormous. If you find yourself constantly battling against circumstances, it's because you're battling against your own mental states projected outward. Let me share a remarkable example from Neville's own experience. In his lecture Thinking Fourth Dimensionally, he recounts how he manifested a trip to Barbados when he had no money, no passport, and seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Did he repeatedly visualize a ticket? Did he make a vision board of Barbados beaches? No, he simply stepped into the consciousness of already being in Barbados. He fell asleep in his apartment in New York, feeling the naturalness of being in his family home in Barbados. He felt the tropical breeze, heard the familiar voices of his family, and experienced the satisfaction of already being there. Within days, a series of coincidences unfolded that led to him receiving both the funds and documentation needed for his journey. This brings us to the second devastating misconception: the belief that manifestation requires constant repetition, persistent affirmations, and ongoing visualization. Most teachers will tell you that you need to repeat affirmations daily, visualize consistently, and maintain unwavering focus on your desire in order to manifest it. Yet Neville taught something profoundly different. He said, "You do not attract what you want, you manifest what you are." The conventional approach treats manifestation as a process of sending repeated signals to the universe until it finally responds. Neville's authentic teaching shows us that manifestation is instantaneous in consciousness. The outer world merely takes time to reflect what has already been accomplished within. Feeling is the secret, Neville wrote in his book of the same name. Not repetition, not persistence, not the number of times you visualize, but the quality of feeling, the feeling of naturalness that comes when you occupy the state of having already achieved your desire. Let me share a personal example that illustrates this principle in action. Years ago, I was struggling financially, barely able to pay my rent. I had been using conventional manifestation techniques, affirmations, vision boards, gratitude journaling for months with minimal result. Then I discovered Neville's principle of living from the end. Rather than continuously affirming future wealth, I began to assume the feeling of financial security as my present reality. Before sleep, each night, I didn't visualize having money. I experienced the feeling of already having financial abundance, the naturalness of paying bills with ease, the relaxation in my body that comes with security. I did this, not repeatedly throughout the day, but primarily in that precious moment before sleep, what Neville called the drowsy state, where consciousness is most impressionable. Within 3 weeks, an opportunity emerged that doubled my income, coming from a direction I could never have anticipated or consciously created. The third misconception, perhaps the most pervasive in today's manifestation culture, is that you need positive thinking and high vibrations to manifest your desires. Open any popular book on manifestation, and you'll be told to eliminate negative thoughts, to raise your vibration, to maintain constant positivity. Yet Neville taught something far more nuanced and powerful: the law of assumption. It is not what you want that you attract what you believe to be true, Neville stated plainly. This means that manifestation operates not on a spectrum of positive to negative thoughts, but on the principle of assumption, what you accept as true in your consciousness. This is why so many positive thinkers fail to manifest their desires despite maintaining cheerful affirmations. Their conscious positivity is contradicted by a deeper assumption of lack or unworthiness. The law responds not to surface thoughts but to the state you occupy. Neville's technique of revision stands in stark contrast to toxic positivity. Rather than denying negative experiences or forcing positive interpretations upon them, revision acknowledges the event but changes your relationship to it by reimagining it as you wish it had occurred. For example, if you had a difficult conversation with your boss today, revision doesn't ask you to pretend it was wonderful when it wasn't. Instead, it invites you to reimagine that conversation unfolding exactly as you would have preferred, feeling the relief, hearing the supportive words, experiencing the positive outcome. This mental act literally revises your personal past and consequently alters your future. The law of assumption transcends the popular but limited law of attraction because it recognizes that you are not attracting anything to yourself. You are expressing outwardly what you have already accepted inwardly. This is why Neville emphasized that an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Consider the profound difference in approach. The law of attraction says, think positively and positive things will come to you. The law of assumption says, assume the consciousness of already being what you desire to be, and you will become it. One positions you as a recipient waiting for delivery from an external source. The other recognizes you as the creative principle from which all your experiences flow. One creates a relationship of dependency with the universe. The other awakens you to your identity as the operant power in your world. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, everything you see, hear, touch, and experience, is an effect, a shadow cast by the light of your assumptions. The world we live in, with all its seeming solidity, is incredibly responsive to shifts in consciousness. But it responds not to what you want or what you think you should have. It responds unerringly to what you have accepted as true. It responds to the state you occupy. Now, beloved friends, let us summarize these 3 revolutionary truths that have been hidden in plain sight, often overlooked by even the most dedicated students of manifestation. First, we discovered that there is nothing outside of you to manifest. The entire world is your consciousness pushed out, objectified. As Neville so eloquently stated, the universe cannot respond to you differently than the body of your beliefs. Your outer world is merely reflecting back to you what you have already accepted in consciousness. Second, we unveiled the truth that manifestation is not about repetitive techniques, but about the assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not how often you affirm or visualize, but how naturally you can feel your desire as already accomplished. One moment of complete assumption in the drowsy state before sleep is worth more than 1,000 affirmations repeated with doubt. Third, we shattered the misconception that positive thinking and high vibrations are the keys to manifestation. Rather, it is your assumptions, what you accept as true, that shape your reality, regardless of whether those assumptions feel positive or negative. The law is entirely impersonal and responds with mathematical precision to your state of consciousness. Now I wish to offer you a gift, a simple yet profound exercise that embodies Neville's authentic teaching. I call it the nightly embodiment, and it will revolutionize your manifestation practice if you apply it with understanding and feeling. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, choose one desire that you wish to realize in your outer world. It could be a new home, improved health, a loving relationship, financial abundance, whatever you genuinely desire to experience. Now, close your eyes and do something remarkable. Step mentally into the moment after your desire has been realized. Not visualizing it happening, not affirming it will happen, but experiencing it as already accomplished. Feel the relief, the satisfaction, the naturalness of having this desire fulfilled. What would you see? What would you hear? Most importantly, what would you feel in your body if this desire were now a fact in your world? Notice the relaxation in your shoulders as financial anxiety dissolves. Feel the warmth of loving arms around you if it's a relationship you desire. Experience the vitality coursing through your body if health is your aim. Do not strain to maintain this feeling. Simply allow yourself to fall asleep in this state, marinating in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. As Neville taught, you never attract that which you want, but always attract that which you are. In this drowsy state, you are impressing upon the subconscious mind the creative power that your desire is already a fact. What makes this approach so different from conventional techniques? It's the difference between asking and knowing. between hoping and assuming, between becoming and being. Most manifestation practices position you as a supplicant, begging the universe for favors. Neville's approach awakens you to your divine nature as the creator of your experience. Now, some of you may be thinking, but what if I can't feel it as real? What if my current circumstances are too overwhelming to ignore? This is where Neville's genius truly shines. He understood that feeling follows imagination. You don't need to feel it first and then imagine it. You imagine it specifically to generate the feeling. If you're struggling with belief, begin with a simple scene that implies your desire has been fulfilled. If financial freedom is your aim, imagine a friend congratulating you on your newfound abundance. Feel their hand shaking yours. Hear their voice expressing genuine happiness for your good fortune. The specific scene matters less than the feeling it evokes. Another objection might be, but if everything is consciousness, why doesn't my reality change immediately when I change my thinking? Remember that there is a time lag between the impression made upon the subconscious and its projection into your three-dimensional experience. The seed must grow before the fruit appears. But make no mistake, the moment you truly assume a state in consciousness, the entire universe begins rearranging itself to make that assumption a fact. Some of you may wonder, is this just positive thinking in disguise? No, it is something far more fundamental. Positive thinking attempts to override negative circumstances with affirmative thought. Neville's approach recognizes that circumstances themselves have no power except that which you give them through your consciousness. You are not overriding reality, you are creating it anew through your assumption. Now, beloved friends, the knowledge I've shared today has the power to transform not just your manifestation practice, but your entire understanding of existence. You are not a helpless creature subjected to random circumstances or karmic destiny. You are the operant power, the consciousness from which your entire world flows. From this moment forward, you can cease struggling against conditions and start assuming the states that will transform them. You can stop exhausting yourself with endless techniques and start resting in the simple but profound practice of feeling your desires as already fulfilled. You can release the burden of maintaining constant positivity and instead focus on occupying the state that would be yours if you were the person you aspire to be. Now that you know what Neville Goddard really taught, not the watered-down, commercialized version that populates most manifestation content, you can stop wasting precious time and energy on approaches that miss the mark entirely. You can begin living from the revolutionary understanding that your consciousness is the one and only reality, and all else is its reflection. This is merely the beginning of our journey together into Neville's authentic teachings. In the next video, I'll reveal how to apply his mystical principle of the promise alongside the law, a distinction that most teachers entirely overlook, yet one that Neville considered the crowning revelation of his later years. You'll discover how manifestation is not the ultimate aim, but rather a stepping stone to a far more profound transformation of consciousness. If this revelation has sparked something within you, a recognition of a truth you've always sensed but perhaps never fully articulated, join me on this continuing exploration. Subscribe to this channel to ensure you don't miss the next installment, where we'll delve even deeper into the mysteries that Neville unveiled over his decades of teaching. Remember, in the words of Neville himself, you can be anything you want to be, but when you think of being it, you must think from it, not of it. Start thinking from your desire today, and watch as your world transforms to reflect this new state of consciousness.